Most men spend years learning what to say to a woman. The lines, the openers, the comeback when she goes quiet. They study body language, they time their texts, they rehearse their stories for maximum impact. And then they sit across from a woman who genuinely likes them, and they watch the night dissolve into something forgettable. Not because they said the wrong thing, because they touched her in the wrong places. And I don't mean that the way you might think I do. I'm not talking about anything crude. I'm not talking about anything that requires privacy or permission beyond what she's already offered with her presence. I'm talking about something far more powerful than that. And most men walk past it every single night without even knowing it exists. There are places on a woman's body, completely visible, completely ordinary places, that carry an emotional charge most people don't understand. When you touch them with the right intention, the right timing, the right quality of presence, something shifts, not in her, in the space between you. And once you understand why that happens, once you understand the psychology underneath that moment, you will never approach connection the same way again. Stay with me, because what I'm about to share with you isn't what you've read in a Reddit thread or seen in a highlights reel about alpha behavior. This goes deeper than that. It's rooted in how the human nervous system actually responds to another person's attention. And there's one insight about 20 minutes into this video that most men genuinely never hear. Not because it's hidden, but because no one's ever framed it clearly enough. Let's start from the beginning. Here's what this video is actually about. It's about the connection between physical attention, specifically where and how you direct your attention to a woman, and the emotional experience she has in your presence. Not technique, not tricks. Emotional experience. Because here's what I've come to understand after years of studying attraction, studying therapeutic models of human connection, studying what actually draws two people toward one another beyond surface chemistry. Women, and really people in general, do not remember what you did as clearly as they remember how you made them feel. That's not a quote. That's neuroscience. The emotional memory centers in the brain encode experience differently than factual memory. You might forget the exact words someone said to you. You almost never forget the feeling they left you with. So, when we talk about kissing her here, I want to be clear about what we're really discussing. We're discussing the art of directing your attention, your presence, your warmth to parts of her experience that most people ignore entirely. And the physical component, yes, I'll get there, is one expression of a much larger principle. Here's my position on all of this. I am not here to teach you manipulation. I am not here to teach you how to get a woman like she's an object at the end of a strategy. Any approach that treats another person as a puzzle to be solved will eventually always collapse because she's not a puzzle, she's a person, and people can feel the difference between someone who's with them and someone who's running a program on them. What I want to offer you is understanding, real understanding, the kind that changes not just what you do, but who you are in a room. And if that sounds slower than you wanted, stay with it, because understanding at that level creates results that aren't situational. They're consistent. Let me tell you what most men get wrong. And I want to say this without judgment, because I've seen this in guys who are otherwise genuinely impressive, smart, successful, decent looking, kind hearted men who still can't seem to close the gap between a good conversation and a real connection. The mistake is this: they treat physical contact as an announcement. A touch on the arm when making a point, a hand on the back when walking through a door, a brush of fingers that's executed with the kind of deliberate precision of someone following a YouTube tutorial from 2011. She feels it, not the touch, the announcement. She feels the intention behind it, which isn't, I'm present with you and I'm naturally drawn toward you. The intention behind it is, I'm performing a behavior that I've been told signals confidence. And somewhere in her nervous system, without her even articulating it consciously, she clocks it. She might not tell you. She might not even fully register it herself. But the warmth in the room drops by about 4 degrees, and neither of you knows exactly why. Here's the deeper issue. Most men approach physical connection the same way they approach a business problem, logically. They identify a gap between where they are and where they want to be. They identify a tactic to bridge that gap. They deploy the tactic. They evaluate results. That process works extraordinarily well for building companies, solving equations, and fixing engines. It is almost perfectly designed to kill romantic tension. Because romantic tension, that charge between two people, that thing you can feel in a room when it's there, is not logical. It doesn't respond to strategy. It responds to emotional truth. And the moment a woman's system detects that you are operating from a script rather than from genuine feeling, the tension collapses. Here's the painful irony. The men who read the most about attraction are often the ones who struggle with it the most, not because the information is wrong, but because information, when not integrated emotionally, becomes performance. And performance is the enemy of presence. And presence, real, grounded, emotionally available presence, is what actually creates desire. You've probably heard about the friend zone. Most people think the friend zone is about not being attractive enough, not being assertive enough, not being interesting enough. It's not. The friend zone is almost always about emotional predictability. She knows exactly what you want. She knows exactly how you feel. There's no tension, no space, no mystery in how you relate to the world around you. You've made yourself completely legible, completely safe in the emotional sense, and safety, while necessary, is not sufficient for desire. Desire requires aliveness. It requires someone who is genuinely engaged with their own inner world, who has real feeling and doesn't perform it, who can be present with her without needing anything from her. That last part is the one most men miss. Without needing anything from her. Not indifference. I want to be careful here. This isn't about pretending you don't care. Pretending you don't care is just another performance, and she can feel that too. This is about something more subtle. Being genuinely okay with yourself in the moment, regardless of how she responds. That internal state, that self-groundedness, is the most attractive thing a man can bring into a room. And it's also the internal state from which every powerful physical gesture I'm going to describe actually works. Because here's what changes when your touch comes from that place. It stops being a move. It becomes a moment. And moments are what she'll think about at 2 in the morning. All right, let's get into the actual framework. I want to walk you through 3 psychological principles, 3 triggers, if you want to call them that govern how physical attention creates emotional connection. These aren't things I invented. They're patterns rooted in psychology, in neuroscience, in thousands of years of human social behavior. I'm just going to name them and show you what they actually look like in practice. Trigger 1. The principle of emotional location. Here's a belief most men hold, usually without examining it, that the significance of a touch is determined by where it lands on the body. Touch her hand, friendly. Touch her face, intimate. Touch her somewhere more private. Obviously, a very different signal. This isn't wrong, but it's incomplete. And operating from the incomplete version of this belief is part of why physical connection so often goes sideways. The full truth is this: the significance of a touch is determined not primarily by its location, but by the emotional state of the person receiving it. Let me explain what I mean. The human nervous system has 2 primary modes when it comes to receiving physical attention from another person. There's a defended state, guarded, slightly contracted, hyper-aware of the interaction, evaluating. And there's an open state, relaxed, present, receptive, feeling genuinely safe. In a defended state, almost any physical gesture, even something as innocent as eye contact that holds a beat too long, registers as pressure, as something being asked of her. And the natural response to pressure is to pull back. In an open state, the same gesture that would create pressure now creates warmth, now creates connection, now creates that hum. So the first principle, the first thing you need to understand is this: your job, before you do anything physical, is to create the conditions for an open state, not through technique,